turning on. That's
Do you
weird.
still want it?
Yeah, put it on there anyway.
I could put it on here.
Yeah, let's try it.
Now that I've seen fear in myself, I can see it wherever I go.
Thank you, baby.
Spinning out the dreams of everyone.
But yeah, these are the test pressings of the record, which was kind of cool to receive on its own. Oh, it means to play my test pressing, I'm going to have to take out Shania Twain. This is one of the best albums of all time. Like, the amount of singles on this album is unbelievable. What a woman. Some friends of ours got this as a wedding present today.
You know I can stay. You know I need to make my break. And all my friends are telling me I might have made mistakes, but the best thing that I ever did was walk away. Time goes by and still I can hear
This song, that's not starting off easy. Yeah, I can. So, Not Good Enough it's quite self-explanatory actually, I think, in a lot of ways, because somebody who I once really loved and admired and really loved working with told me that I wasn't good enough at the point where I'd built up all this courage to go over to their house and be like, you know, I don't think we should work together anymore. And that took so much courage for me, because I avoid confrontation at all costs. But I knew that deep down in like the core of me, it wasn't a good like personal or working relationship. And I'd built up all this courage to go in and just be like, look, this isn't good for me anymore. You know, this is why I'm not happy with X, Y, and Z. And rather than take any accountability, he just told me that I wasn't good enough anyway. So, which really, I think at the time I kind of thought, oh, well, you're wrong, you know, because I was full of all this adrenaline. So I was able to just be like, well, you're wrong, and then leave. And I was really proud of myself. But as the months and years moved past, that idea of him telling me that I wasn't good enough, it kept kind of just repeating over and over in my head. So yeah, that's how it came about, really. Yeah, it's about that shit day. When I wrote this song, it was actually one of the first co-writes that I'd ever done, because I'd only ever written on my own, like in this house or the bedroom. I'd never really invited anyone into that world before. And I really wanted to, but I was quite nervous about it. But the guy that I made my album with, Matt, he said, you know, are you open to doing some songwriting? And I thought, well, this is a very safe space, so yeah, like, why not? And I remember him just showing me like the little tiny guitar lick that you can hear right at the beginning of the song. And it just happened so quickly. And I think we wrote it maybe within 2 days. And the first day we had like, You Know I Can't Stay. And we had this lovely like verse and kind of like a little bridgy section. But it wasn't until the next day, I remember so clearly, I was driving past Lidl in Oadby, and I was just playing these chords over and over in my head. And when I drove past Lidl, the idea came for not good enough, like you're not good enough, you're not good enough. But originally it was your guitar playing isn't good enough, because that's something that he would always tell me I wasn't good at, and it really like upset me and annoyed me. And so I kind of scrapped that part of it because it just didn't sound very good in the context of the song. So then it turned into not good enough. But I don't know why, but I always think about Little. I always think about that minute of just being like, this is what the song's about, like a eureka moment. Because the day before, I don't think I realised what I was writing. I just felt like I was kind of writing this quite melancholy song about this experience I had with this man. But it wasn't until Little that Not Good Enough came to me, and I was like, oh, this is it.
Do songs and creative ideas often come to you?
I think that is probably the only time that I've been driving past a supermarket that a song has come. But maybe that should happen more often.
You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough.
When I wrote it with Matt, I think weirdly, I didn't feel that scared, and I think maybe I just got myself into like a really safe environment. And sadly, I'd never really felt that before in music. I felt as if all the different kind of relationships or places I'd been in up until that point, they never really felt that safe, especially with the person that this song's about. It never felt as safe as maybe I thought it was. So when I was in a new environment with a new person, I felt totally liberated. I was like anything but scared, even though the song itself is really, really sad. I was very, I don't know, I just felt really at ease with Matt and the space that we were in, to be able to just be like, yeah, this is me. Like, maybe I'm not good enough. Like, that was definitely a question to myself at the time when I was writing it. But I don't think I really realised how deep that was inside of me, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't until we started recording the song, like properly, maybe a good like 6 to 8 months after I've written it, that I had to really kind of keep telling myself over and over again, like, this isn't true, like, you are good enough. There's something about writing a song which feels like you're kind of exercising something, and it feels really good. Like this whole like cathartic thing that artists go through, you're thinking, oh my God, I feel so much better now I've written this song. It's like you're holding this like secret in. You write it and you let it go. But what I never considered was how difficult it could be to record that song. Because I was in this situation where, you know, I was going over and over and over again, like the same guitar parts. And sometimes in the recording studio, like I wasn't getting it right. Like, and I was like, why am I not getting this right? You know, and rather than just accept the fact that maybe I needed to take a break and just like eat some food, I just spiraled. And I remember I'd booked out this recording studio in Leicester called Wong's, which isn't there anymore, sadly. But to record the guitar part for this song, and it took me like 4 hours, and I never got it right. It was horrible, and I just felt so shit. I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe I'm not good enough. And then Matt just said, look, we need to stop here. Like, nothing good is coming of today. And I was like, okay. And then I went back to his house a couple of days later with like a little bit more energy about me. And I thought, right, today is the day that you're going to get this guitar part right. And I didn't. I kept fucking it up over and over again. And I was just so inside my own head during the whole like recording of this song. And I think all I needed to do really was just really, really cry, because I felt like he was winning at every time that I like would mess up this guitar part. I thought to my head, like, you know, maybe I'm not good enough. Why am I doing this? You know, imposter syndrome completely took over, and that was really distressing. And he just said, look, well, Matt just said to me, let's take a break, let's go for a walk. And that's what we did. I had a massive, massive cry. And then when I came back, I did it and it was fine. But I think I'd just been holding in all of this like negativity, and I'd internalized all of it for ages.
How do you think the conversation that this song stemmed from
Mm-hmm.
has influenced your career and creative choices on this album?
Good question. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the conversation that I had to have, it took a lot of courage. I'm not really the type of person to just walk into a room and tell someone how they make me feel. And I think I'm quite proud of myself, really, that I did that, and I listened to my instincts and listened to my body. You know, something was telling me something wasn't right for a really long time. And I think having kind of proving to myself that I had that sort of courage made the making of this album really, really fun. It was really, I just felt so free on every single day, apart from the day where I'm crying my eyes out over this guitar part. But most of the experience was just so like interesting, and I was learning so much about music that I'd never learned before. Like, you know, I was playing with different plugins and keyboard sounds and guitar pedals and guitar sounds, and it's like every single decision that was made on this album, whether I was actually physically the one playing or not, like, was my own decision. And that's not something that had ever happened before. Like, I had total creative control, but I also felt confident enough to have it. Like, I was able to go into like a songwriting session with Matt and just be like, well, no, I can kind of hear this keyboard part doing this. And even though I maybe couldn't technically tell him what it was, I would just be like, you know, like there's a bit in Not Good Enough actually where this kind of weird siren sounds appear, and it's like, and I was saying this to Matt, and I was like, I can hear this kind of morning full siren yell thing. And we just sat there together. Hey, baby. We just sat there together. Yeah. We just sat there together for ages, going through all these different sounds on this keyboard that he had to just find what it was. And it just felt, I think it was, I was just confident. And I was really like allowing myself to learn all these things, and also allow myself to like fuck up and make mistakes at the same time, you know. And I think that's it.
Do you think you could have written and recorded a song like this in your 20s?
No. I don't think any of the songs on this album are songs that I could have written in my 20s. Any of them. Maybe one, because I know I actually did write one of them in my 20s, but there is a very new perspective on these songs from the songwriting point of view and the music that we wrote and chose for it. There's something about kind of going through something, you know, quite traumatic and something quite emotional, to then give sort of just like a new colour or a new frame to something. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's like I had this new perspective, this new kind of drive to write these songs, and I was like pushing myself more and more to make these songs as believable is not the right word because they're believable anyway, but I wanted them to be. You are so moany. What's wrong? What is it? Because your cat tower's not there. I've moved your cat tower. I'm sorry, baby. It wasn't going to look good in the shot. Hey, come here. Basically, no. I don't think so, no. I think, I feel far more aware of who I am and who I want to be now, past my 20s, than I did before. And I think you can hear it. It's like, if you can hear it. It's like I can hear, like, it sounds really cliche and cheesy, but I can hear like the woman on the album, and like, and not, hey, yes, I can hear the woman on the album and not kind of a 20-year-old always searching for something. Yeah. I think it's a very common problem. Yeah, I think so many women, especially in the early years and maybe we're at the start of their careers, they fall into this sort of trap of taking any opportunity because they think maybe it'll be good for them. And there is something that you have to do. You do have to take opportunities, but I don't think they listen to themselves. Or I definitely didn't listen to myself. You know, I kind of just thought, well, I'm in this situation which maybe I never ever would ever have dreamed of being in, you know, and this is my shot. So I'm just going to do whatever this person says. And when that happens, because it certainly happened to me, you kind of lose sense of your own identity and you lose sense of who you are because you're just so following this one other person and everything that they do and say. You don't really ever stop yourself to you don't really ever, babe, you're really on one. Yeah. You don't really ever stop yourself to question, like, is this actually what I want? And when that happens inside like recording studios and stuff, as a young person, I think your ideas can really get undermined because you don't want to like speak up, or you don't want to be confrontational. You just want to be nice and polite and get through the day without causing a fuss, because that's definitely what happened to me. And it wasn't until I started speaking to other women around the time where I was doing a podcast that I realised that I was in a really toxic working relationship that I shouldn't be in. It wasn't until these other women were like, well, this happened to me in this studio and this person said to me this in this studio, and I was like, oh my God, all of this is happening to me too. I would love to say that it doesn't happen anymore, but it definitely does still happen, and it's going to keep happening. And I think we're on this kind of precipice of women in the music industry, of not even on the precipice, we're already doing it. Like, we're talking to each other about our experiences, which I think is the first thing, it's the first place to start, because you realise that all these things you're feeling they're real. They're not these feelings that you take home after a studio session thinking, well, why do I feel tense? You know, why do I feel a little bit depressed? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough, for example? You know, and all of these things have been projected onto you throughout the whole day, and you're just there like taking it all in because you don't want to cause a scene, I guess.
I think there's like power in that, isn't there, in your 30s, that you probably have a bit more confidence in yourself, that you see those people as your colleagues and you reach out to them, whereas in your 20s you could be manipulated and told it's you or her. You know, there's not really though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember when I first started doing shows, like when I was maybe 19 or 20, I was the only woman on a lineup, and I'd just be surrounded by other guys. And I never really thought about it until I got a bit older. And I was like, why am I lacking like female friends in music? And I think so many of us felt that way as well. It's like we were just given this golden spot, like you are the female token for this lineup. And so many of us just didn't ever speak to each other or have those opportunities to talk and do our own thing. And it's like they only have room for one woman on a lineup, and that still obviously is a problem today. It's rife on all of the festival lineups and stuff, but you know, there is improvements being made, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily from the music industry. I think it's from the women in the music industry that are like, well, let's start record labels that are only women focused, or let's start podcasts or gig nights or whatever. That's where the change is happening, and hopefully eventually the people at the top of the music industry are just gonna see that there's nothing, they can't keep holding us back. There was a time a couple of months ago I had a show in Leeds, and I took it upon myself to like play only new songs, which is stupid in hindsight. You know, you're not in your comfort zone. And one of the songs I told myself I would perform is Not Good Enough, and I wasn't in a good headspace at all. I was really nervous about playing this set of only new songs, and this one in particular. And I remember just getting to the part of You're Not Good Enough and I just crumbled, and the whole song I was like clutching on to like anything I could to just get through this song. And the audience knew. I mean, like, people that are watching music and listening to music, they're so intelligent, they know exactly what it is that you're going through. And I think the whole crowd knew that I was struggling. Like, the guitar was shaky, the vocals were shaky, everything was just off. And I remember coming back from that gig really beating myself up, like, I'm never going to be able to play this song live. Like, this is the worst thing ever. Why did I even write it? And I remember ringing my mum the next day, and she just said to me, Charlotte, if you don't want to play it, just don't play it. And I was like, yeah, why am I putting all this pressure on myself to play this song right now, you know? And this really simple conversation with my mum just totally reminded me, like, I'm the only one making them decisions. Like, so why am I making it harder for myself? I mean, that doesn't mean that I can now carry on never playing this song. I definitely need to, especially if people end up resonating with it and stuff. But I think now I am more aware of how much pain this song brings me. I think I can manage it a little bit better. Because when I played it in Leeds, I think I just like kidded myself that I was ready to play this song, you know, and I was working on myself, all this stuff. Was that pre-therapy? This gig was pre-therapy. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I can play this song. Everything's fine. And it wasn't fine. You know, the song, I feel, was never meant to be a single. I always thought it was just going to be this kind of like golden, melancholy moment that people would find on the album and then just be like, you know, what a lovely song. But then when I finished the album, I felt as if it was just super, super poignant to the story of the album. I was like, there's no getting around the fact that I went through this experience as a woman in music, and this album is largely about being a woman in music. Like, so many other people in music have been made to feel that they're not good enough, time and time again, from people, you know, that are above them in some way, or maybe they have more power over them. I think that's what it is. People make you feel like they have more power over you. So yeah, I'd rather just let people hear it, really. And maybe other people are going to think, yeah, someone told me I wasn't good enough either, but, you know, we're all cracking on. I don't know what she's on. The only people that have heard this song so far, because it's not out yet, are the people that I invited into like the music process. So I had a lovely guy called Wayne who mixed and mastered the album, and it was like those people that I invited in for the first time that were like, oh, okay, this song's really special. And I knew it was special because it was coming from a really pure place, but when other people tell you something's good, it makes you feel good. No, there's no getting around that. But people, especially people that know the context of where the songs come from, so like family and friends and close people, they're like, you've made something really beautiful out of a really shit thing. Do I believe in closure? That is such a good question. If I'm being honest, I don't think I do. I think closure and grief are things that you just end up like living with. I don't think you can ever fully say goodbye to something, even if you feel like you want to. I think if something's happened to you which has moved you, good or bad, it stays with you, and you just have to find ways of it, not bringing you down, which is definitely what I've been working on.
Does the person you wrote the song about know that you've written the song about them?
I don't think they do, no. No. And I think if they heard it, they would definitely know it's about them. But do you know what? I don't even care. And it's not even something I'm scared about. You know, if anything, I imagine they think it's inevitable. Like, you know, they worked with me for a very long time. We had a very close and at one point beautiful relationship. So they definitely know that there would be something coming. That's just what it is to be a songwriter or an artist or anything you create based on the things that happen to you. I feel like if I didn't write this song, or if I had never written this song, I would be like lying to myself. I'm really glad that it came out the way it did, and I think by writing this song I started kind of that journey of realising and learning on my own self-worth rather than what somebody else is telling me I should be.
Who am I living for? 'Cause it ain't me. 'Cause it ain't me. 'Cause it ain't me. 'Cause it ain't me. Time goes by and still. Is that right?
Beautiful. Yeah. Lovely.
Beautiful.